Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern. Had a little bit of, technical difficulties, but we got them figured out. Hopefully we won't run into any. So, hope you guys had an amazing Wednesday. Today is hump day, like my mom liked to call it. And it's not in that way, guys. It means you're heading over that hump. And Thursday and Friday, it's all downhill from there to the weekend. Saturday and Sundays, those who have Saturdays and Sundays off, I envy you. I've always wanted to, kind of have that 9 to 5 gig with the weekends off, spend it with the kids, and especially with the NFL coming right around the corner. I think that, we'll love that 1,010%. So, let's go ahead and dig on into it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We have a great show for you today lined up. We're going to talk about WWE NXT. Then we're going to have our AEW Dynamite preview. Then we're going to jump on into 7 stars. I recently read a list from, I think it was WrestleTalk.com, and then, kind of intrigued some interest. They had, 7 stars, and I was like, all right, we can talk about that. That sounds, pretty awesome to dissect, talk about it with you guys, you guys give me your opinions and stuff like that. So yeah, 1,010%. We're going to talk about 7 superstars that are rumored to be joining AEW before the All In pay-per-view, so that should be sick. Now, our fourth segment, we're going to talk about Obafemi, the NXT North American champion, is just absolutely running rampant all over WWE NXT. Looks like nobody can stop him. Well, let's just talk about him. Let's just talk about his future. Maybe he gets called up by WWE. Maybe he's an anchor on WWE NXT when they hit the CW. Only time what's up, but he's an amazing superstar. So we're going to talk about, whether or not he's probably going to get called up or not. And our fifth segment, every Wednesday, we talk about our Wednesdays weekly wrestling news. I gotta give you some updates about some breaking news that's surrounding the professional wrestling industry. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat button. If you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, just give it to me. Something you've been dying to share, share it. We are all ears. This show is about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts in the chat and let's keep this party going. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use the super chat? Just hit the $ below the chat box, send in your message, and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats help us keep the lights on and bring you even more of the wrestling content you love so much. We are so grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here on the show. Also on the network, your support makes a lot of difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. Let's keep this conversation going, and together we can make this show bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Super chat's not your thing. You can also hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your burning questions there. 1,010% is going to be awesome here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love all that peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the way. So also remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button. Follow the show, follow the network. Definitely something you subscribe to. Give you the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever regret. Subscribing to our network. A lot of cool shows, a lot of awesome podcast hosts who, give it their all. Professional dudes. It's awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into some WWE NXT talk. It was a good episode. All in all, I thought it was, it was well planned, especially after, um, you know, um, the Great American Bash Week 2, which is kind of like their pay-per-view, but that they, kind of show, which is actually, I like that. I like how WWE NXT, they're not like, every single month they have a pay-per-view. It seems like every pay-per-view they have, it's kind of like the big ones. You have Stand and Deliver, you did had Heat Wave, and you had NXT Battleground, all amazing, pay-per-views to, I think, just a reboot, nice little reboot, like just crown some champions and, but I'm not, trying to say that the pay-per-views that they have on air, on cable television is anything less because it's amazing as well. So Ethan Page came out at the beginning of WWE NXT looking for a fight. Talking first, he was kind of floating around the word of Wes Lee. He also, who else did he shout out? He shouted out somebody else. But Ethan Page is basically saying he's the best there is. He's all ego. This is his error. Now this is the all ego Ethan Page error. So who to come out? Who to come out and question? The NXT World Champion is none other than Joe Hendry, which was so, oh my God, it was so cool when I heard his music hit. I gotta be honest, I was like, damn, this guy's gonna be a star. This guy's gonna be a huge star, and I think WWE NXT has huge plans for Joe Hendry, and along with this collaboration with TNA, you know what I mean? Like I do kind of feel a little, I don't know, I do feel a little skeptical and a little, kind of like not upset, but like, you know what? Like NXT hasn't really given much to TNA. I know TNA, there's Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame, and then you had Charlie Dempsey. And I don't know, it's just I don't know. And then they gave us like they gave the NXT Joe Hendry, and it just doesn't, it doesn't quite compute. I'm not saying those stars aren't, as cool as Joe Hendry. Well, maybe I am. I'm just gonna, but in their own way, they're badass. Okay, so let's put that to bed right now. So, but I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see somebody like Obafemi, like he had the open challenge. Otis took it. He himself went to Monday Night Raw. Maybe just maybe you could take the NXT North American Championship over to TNA and get an open challenge there. That would be pretty cool. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think that'd be pretty badass. So, Joe wants a chance to become NXT World Champion, and then of course you saw the newly formed heel Wes Lee attack poor Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry went down like a sack of potatoes. But we have not seen the last of Joe Hendry. We'll talk about it more at the end of the episode. We had a women's eliminator match happening next week for a number one contendership for Roxanne Perez's NXT Women's World Heavyweight Championship. So they called out the first three names. First was Wren Sinclair, which was kind of interesting, Adriana Rizzo, she's been with NXT for quite a bit, so she deserves it. So Ruka, she just puts on great matches. I knew for a fact that she was going to get called because they're like, you know what? And she puts on some good matches. People, I love that soul snatcher maneuver. It kind of looks like an out of nowhere kind of Randy Orton RKO thing, which is pretty cool. Which is cool. 1,010%. Then Jada Parker, out of all these women, I think she has a lot to prove. I think, she kind of walks out there and acts like her stuff does, you know what I mean? Like, she's the stuff. She's the best thing since sliced bread. But Jada Parker recently hasn't really accomplished much. Like she did have recently had a feud with Michin after attempting to, be the inaugural WWE NXT Women's North American Champion. So it'd be kind of cool to kind of see her in a spot like that. Kind of cool because 1,010% she could be that star. She can definitely be that star. When she gets inside the ring, she just looks dominant. She just looks like she kind of dictates the match, keeps it flowing, keeps it interesting, keeps the crowd, biting on every single move that she's going to do. So, I have some high praises for Jada Parker. I think she's going to be super special. Then we saw Kendall Gray is the fifth, and the sixth is Carmen Petrovich. So they're going to fight in an eliminator match, a gauntlet eliminator match for the number one contendership for Roxanne Perez's women's NXT championship. So that should be super dope next week. So we have the Heritage Cup. We have a Heritage Cup championship match. The dawn of NXT. Tony D'Angelo takes on Charlie Dempsey of the No Quarter Catch crew. I guess he's kind of the leader now, William Regal's son, taking the helm at the helm. He's the leader. Charlie Dempsey, it was a great match. It was very, very physical. You can tell that Tony D'Angelo gave it all because he knew that, this is going to be it. You know what I mean? It was a great match in terms of, Charlie Dempsey putting Tony D'Angelo in uncomfortable positions. Like he had a couple of submission maneuvers that I was like, man, Tony D'Angelo usually doesn't look this, like he doesn't look this, like he's getting dominated. Not dominated. That's not the right word. Like he never really looks like he's in trouble, I guess is, the best way I can kind of phrase it. So, usually he's on top of most of his matches, a total powerhouse, but he got on the top rope to finish. Charlie Dempsey out of nowhere, Wren Sinclair proves dividends to be the new member of the No Quarter Catch crew, Charlie Dempsey, looks down on her and just gives her a big fat smile. And I was like, oh God, here we go. Just fantastic. And I'll live more again. I'm just kidding. No, but no, it was a great match. It was a great match. I knew that Charlie Dempsey was going to win. Actually, I think I think NXT should have gave Charlie Dempsey the Heritage Cup championship because with Tony D'Angelo holding it, and I kind of, advocate for this over and over again. He just, I don't know, he seems like a main Carter. Doesn't really seem good in that, obviously he's good in anything. And I guess that was wrongly phrased, but he just, inside the mid card, you know what I mean? Fighting for the Heritage Cup and stuff like that. Like I get it. He's a very talented superstar and people like to see him. He's the Don of the NXT. He came so close to dethroning Ilya Dragunov for the NXT World Championship. He came close to that. So, definitely in the future, I know he's probably going to be the number one contender for Oba Fleming's NXT North American Championship because both of them has had their fair share of interrupting each other's promos. So, that happened at the, near the end of the show. So, yeah, kind of crazy. So Lola Vice and Kehlani Jordan, they had a promo in the back where you saw Tatum Paxley just freaking out, saying that nobody cares about her. And then she, kind of lit a fuse with Lola Vice, says that, she's had everything handed to her. Everybody can't be an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? But Lola Vice took offense to that. They had a match where Lola Vice, she took down Tatum Paxley despite the fact that Wendy Chu, we had Kehlani Jordan on the announced desk, and then Wendy Chu took her out. So then Tatum Paxley kind of looked scared as well. Like that storyline, I was like, you know what? I kind of thought they were kind of in cahoots with each other. Maybe perhaps they are. Like who knows? Maybe we're next in the next couple of weeks we're gonna see Lola Vice team up with Kehlani Jordan, maybe gaining Kehlani Jordan's trust a little bit. So when she needs a competitor, when she needs a fighter, and be like, hey, like Lola Vice right there. So that could possibly be, it took Roxanne Perez five or six pop rocks to put Lola Vice away. So, what? It would not be a shame for Kehlani Jordan to drop the belt to Lola Vice because Lola Vice is she inside the ring. She's amazing. She's amazing. Obviously, the MMA fighters that turn professional wrestling, usually, it takes a little while to kind of get rolling a little bit. But I don't know. I think she's in a safe spot right now. Definitely think that 1,010%. Next, we saw Lexis King defeat Eddie Thorpe. The sneak attack in the beginning of the match obviously did pay dividends. Lexis King was talking kind of mess about Eddie Thorpe's, Native American sound, the EDM he puts inside of his music and stuff like that. And then Eddie Thorpe was talking about Lexis King's music preferences, and I I would like, and I don't know WWE's, I don't know their plans with Alexis King. I don't really see much. Or with this whole Eddie Thorpe thing, I thought when he was coming back, they were gonna like groom him up to like challenge Oma Fleming for the NXT North American Championship. But what if you kind of have, what if you kind of have them working together? Like they kind of go in the back, they have a promo where they're like, you know what? I respect your music, I respect your choice, I respect you as a superstar because both of them have one victory over each other. You know what I mean? Kind of like how it was with Axiom and Nathan Frazier before they became a tag team. It was like, butting heads with each other, kind of like what happened on Monday Night Raw, roughly about like 8 years ago with Cesaro and Sheamus when they were the Bar. Mick Foley thought, you know what? You guys spend so much time beating the crap out of each other, and they're great matches. What if you guys joined forces? What if you guys joined forces to, win the Raw Tag Team titles? And they did. Given that, I don't know, Chase U won at the end of the night, so kind of crazy. I don't know how long they're going to keep the belt on top of them. So just just pondering. Next, we had a Trick Williams promo. I liked the promo. I thought it was perfect. It was the perfect way to kind of bring, although he did lose to Pete Dunne, I think it was night one, no, night two, week two of WWE NXT Great American Bash. I kind of felt a little discouraged about the future of Trick Williams after he lost his match to Pete Dunne. But, this promo said a lot, says whatever happens, he figures it out. He usually bounces back huge from a loss. Pete Dunne was asked about having another match with Trick Williams. He said, no, I'm moving forward. I want to challenge for the NXT World Championship. Then we saw a little, no, we already talked about that. Wes Lee, basically saying how Zachary Wentz let him down. MSK was dominant. Um, but he's not, they're not going to help him become the greatest. And he became the greatest NXT North American champion. So, obviously that was 2 years ago. And then you had them leave to NXT. And then Wesley got badly injured, was told he was never going to wrestle ever again. And he said, hey, honestly, these guys kind of abandoned me. But he kind of brought up something interesting that I didn't think NXT was going to kind of let him bring up, how he was saying that Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel are just here on NXT for that WWE rub. Basically, like, okay, you're just using, this platform, you know what I mean? But which is by all means like, oh, dude, of course, duh. But at the same time, it was kind of like a cheap shot. It was kind of like a cheap shot at TNA, being like, look, TNA isn't as good as WWE and it never will be. So, definitely, was, kind of crazy. Then you had Joe Hendry come out to attack him, then Pete Dunne, and then we're going to have a triple threat match next week on NXT to find out the number one contendership for Ethan Page's AEW heavyweight championship. Just kind of blast through this. Like I said, Oba Femi, huge superstar, defeated Otis, but it was a nice play. It was a well-fought match by Otis. Izzy Dane took down Brindley Reese, and then you had Axiom and Nathan Frazier finally be dethroned by Chase U, Andre Chase, and the new member of Chase U, Mr. Ridge Holland. So I thought it was pretty good, and it was a nice spot for Ridge. So, yeah. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our second segment. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite as soon as we come back. So, hey, sit tight.